Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 78 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And I am your other host, Brian, who's very tired, because I have to say October is an endurance test for this podcast.
It really is. Watching 31 movies is no small feat.
Yeah, I mean, between that and then the regular just October festivities and the BluRay releases and just the Halloween prep. And remember, we're still probably a little bit tired even from Hollywood Horror Nights still. I mean, yeah. We've had a rough month. I mean, that's even been a month since that. Think about it. And you still have had the hurricane. And funny enough, since another storm now actually could possibly, there's supposed to be a nor'easter that's potentially going to hit the tri-state area, which could severely impact my plans to go to Chiller and meet David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown. Because
that would be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I figure it's like he was the main purpose for me going. And if the weather is as bad as they're saying, to make that drive to New Jersey over the bridges and stuff just may not be, it just may be too much, to deal with. And it's one of those things where we just don't know, it's like they think it's going to be that bad. So I have to play it up in the air. But the good thing is I did through an accident, I misread the date and I could not buy my tickets in advance. So I was going to have to buy them at the door anyway. So if I don't get to go for some reason, it's no loss financially or anything.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so that's a blessing in disguise. I'm wondering if that's like the sign, though, that I shouldn't have gone. Was
Yeah.
So we'll have to play it by ear. So possibly I could have a report next week on Chiller with Cone. I may not. So we'll leave that up to fate, I guess.
All right, guys. Well, we have a really fun show tonight, one that I've been looking forward to recording, even though we're recording a little late this week. So fair warning, probably will be very light editing on this episode. So please forgive the ums and the ahs and the hesitations, because I'm just probably going to roll with this one as it goes, unless we make some really major flubs.
Yeah, or embarrass ourselves on this a really bad horror fact we get wrong or something.
Yeah. Well, people are used to that, so
that's true.
But anyway, so I got fun show. So let's get right into it. This is our first chop. Okay, so first up, Brian, the Alphabet Project continues. We're up to letter U. And boy, this one was a tough one because there's not a lot of movies that start with U. And I've been very literal that it can't start with like the underground.
Right.
Or, it has to be literally start with the letter U. So,
well, the only one I know that you might not have seen, but I think you did, was Unsane, right? I bet you've seen that.
Yeah, now Uncle Sam was another one, but I had watched that one.
Uncle Sam.
But I did run across one on Netflix, and it's from Iran, and it's called Under the Shadow. And this is about a woman against the backdrop of the Iranian-Iraq conflict. But she starts believing that there's some kind of evil spirits in her home. So it's kind of a supernatural, paranormal type film. And I enjoyed it for the most part because it had some really, really creepy scenes. Some genuinely good, creepy, supernatural scenes. And the effects were really, really good. The problem is the dubbing. The Netflix only had the dubbed version, and the dubbing was so bad. I told Brian it sounded like, this would be an offense to high schoolers, so I better not say that. I was going to say it sounded like a 9th grade drama club doing a table read, but that would be disparaging towards 9th graders, so I'm not even going to go there.
And from what you said, it sounded like and tables.
Yeah. So and tables. So yeah, I can recommend it from the scare aspect of it, but I cannot recommend that dubbed version. If there's any way you could track this one down in the original language with subtitles, I think it would be a far better movie. So that's Under the Shadow on Netflix.
Well, do they have any other language options? You can kind of like reset it to be in another language at least?
I didn't
maybe
check.
Do it that way.
Yeah, they may. I didn't check, but it's too bad because, and I had heard, we talked about what was the movie Satan's Slaves?
Oh, right.
We had talked about how one of my coworkers, he said the dubbing turned that into almost a comedy. So yeah, it really can impact you. I encourage everyone. I know some people don't like reading subtitles, but I encourage you to always watch a movie in the native language if you can do that.
Yeah, you have to, because sometimes the emotion is not there from the person that's doing the dubbed version. Like, you ever get those things where it's like you see like from a foreign film and there's just this guttural emotion coming out of it, and you hear the guy going, "Well, it looks like a poison tree or something."
Yeah, I mean, good dubbed movies are rare in my opinion.
Yeah,
there are some out there, but don't recommend it. But Brian, you had a cool little trip here in New York City that I want to hear about.
Yeah, so I had my friend Paul came in, which I'll get to the reason later about his film. I'll mention that briefly. It's not horror related, but but since Paul is a member of the Civil Gore family because of his great sound effects, he deserves a mention with his great film. But while he was in there, we decided to tour the city on Saturday, and he really wasn't into doing any touristy things so much. So he just wanted to see some cool shops and some maybe hit some cool bars. So, of course, being a horror fan, we decided to hit some of the horror-themed bars. We went to the Strand bookstore, which actually I'll talk about next week because I did get a cool book that I'm going to hope to start reading there. And we hit Forbidden Planet, which had, by the way, some amazing new T-shirts, Tim. I got to send you that, too, the link on that. And they actually sell the Friday the 13th accessory set. They're really cheap. I just didn't want to carry it around, so I may have to go back and get that. But we did hit some of the horror-themed bars that New York has. The first one we hit was the Slaughtered Lamb, which of course is modeled after the American Werewolf in London bar, and it's got got a cool poster for it in there, and it's got some of the sayings etched in on the wall, and it's got that really cool English pubby feel to it. Unfortunately, we were there during the afternoon, so the dungeon, the highly themed dungeon that they have downstairs, was not open yet, so we did not get to see that. But we just had a nice pumpkin ale there, and kind of relaxed a little bit before our next stop, which was the Jekyll and Hyde Club, which I found out, and that was the one I wanted to take you and Olivia to when you guys were here. We didn't get a chance to do that. This is the one in the Village. They used to have a really big elaborate one in Times Square, but this is the Village one, so it's definitely got the more pub feel. We just went to the bar and had a drink. They have some cool animatronics going on there, and the bathrooms are hidden in the wall and the bookshelves. You got to find the right bookshelf to kind of push open to get into the bathroom, and it's just got a really cool gothic horror feel to it. And I found out something interesting. So apparently the bartender overheard me talking about the Bayville Screen Park, which is on Long Island, and apparently the same owner owns the Jekyll and Hyde Club. So he must be really into some horror stuff. So I might have to reach out to him and see if we can get a good interview from him, because he also owns the Bayville Screen Park along with a couple of restaurants right next to it. So he's a big entrepreneur there, and he obviously has a nice horror feel to things, because he even does the Bayville Screen Park at Christmas has the Haunted Christmas event they have, which if I don't get to the Halloween one this year, I'm definitely going to make an effort to get to that Haunted Christmas, because that's kind of cool.
That sounds cool,
yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of Krampus stuff there. And finally, we got to the place, which again, this is one of the places we just didn't have time for on your trip, was Beetle House, which is a Tim Burton themed bar. And this, in hindsight, I wish I would have thought of this sooner. I could have made a dinner reservation, because you really can't sit down for food unless you reserve in advance. Very, very small restaurant. But the bar was open. It was first come, first serve. We lucked out. We must have hit just the right time. 2 people left after us waiting barely 5 to 6 minutes. And we got to sit down. And this is cool because it's definitely a very Tim Burton-y themed place. They actually had an actor who did a really great Beetlejuice walking around, and he was like adult Beetlejuice. Like he was like just with the flirting with the women there, playing around. I have some pictures I'll have to post on our Instagram when I get a chance. And the drinks are themed, all named after different Tim Burton movies. And they all come with the dry ice in it, so they're all kind of with the smoke coming out of it. Cool. Really, really cool, elaborate drinks. And they also had someone there we think was dressed up. She was kind of like a gothic person. We think it might have been something from Dark Shadows, weren't quite sure, and I was too embarrassed to ask what she was dressed up as. But I think I have a picture of her too. And we did get some bar food though. You can order some the appetizers. That's what they allow at the bar. It's cash only too, which is kind of another thing you got to kind of take into mind. I think if you order a meal from the sit down table, you can actually pay by credit card. But if you're just at the bar, it's cash only. There is an ATM in there though, we got some cool drinks. We got an old fashioned, which was like this, an orange version of it. And it was totally with the smoke coming out of it with the dry ice. I did take a little video. I'll post that too. And we got these really good fries. It was sriracha truffle fries.
Oh my gosh.
They were amazing. And also as a side thing, we got an order of wings, and they had some choices, and the ones we chose, I figured we'd get the craziest ones. We got the root beer glazed wings with like sprinkled with Pop Rocks on it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but it wasn't. It was actually really good. It was sweet, but really delicious. So that was a nice little thing. So that's why we pretty much ate and drank our way through Manhattan that day, with a nice little horror slant to it, which I thought was a fun little afternoon. So next time you come back to New York, I'll make sure the Beetle House is on our agenda for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I had a little excursion as well. Of course, we went to up to my dad's birthday / Halloween party. I did win first place in the costume contest with my Negan costume.
Nice. Yeah, that looked good. You got to post pictures of that.
Yeah, I need to post pictures of that. So that worked out good. And of course, my dad lives about a mile from the Hickory Grove Haunted Trail, which I talked about last year, which is one of the oldest haunted trails in North Carolina.
I have to go to this one. Yeah.
And lots of fun. It's put on by the volunteer fire department, and it's very professional. They have a very nice layout. I think a lot of these structures out in the woods stay there year round. Now
they do the best job. These fire departments.
They do. They really do. They really get into it. But
yeah.
Now this year, Kevin agreed with me. We've gone. This is our third year in a row. We felt this was the weakest year by far, but we think maybe the hurricane had something to do with it, because that obviously had to set them back.
Yeah.
And they seemed a little short-staffed this year compared to previous years, which I can kind of understand, because there was more dead spots, like where there was no scare actors and stuff, and you could see people like running around trying to do double duty kind of stuff. But I will say we still had a blast, and and they change it up every year, so you never, there's some of the same elements, but they do a good enough job changing it up that it's worth going back. And one of the things I was really impressed with this year is, because they didn't have as many scare actors and stuff, they had a lot more sequences where you were basically placed in a pitch black dark environment or a maze and had to feel your way out. They had at least 2 sequences where you're traveling through like pipes. You literally had to crouch down and go through these pipes. Now, granted, you're on a rope, so you're on a rope with.
Oh, that's right. The rope. This is the one with that rope the whole way through, right? Yeah.
So I want to say we had like 10 to 12 people on our rope. So it's not like you're going to get lost or anything. You just hang onto the rope and you're going to be guided through. But you had to go duck through these pipes. There was one sequence where it was literally, Brian, pitch black. I know they said that house at Halloween Horror Nights was supposed to have pitch black areas.
Right, yeah.
No, this was, I literally could not see my hand in front of my face.
Wow.
I could not look up because you're out in the woods. So there's no reference to be able to see like the ceiling or anything. It was completely dark.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. They had some of the typical things they bring back, but they change it up a little bit. There's one sequence where they have these 2 old guys that stop you. Well, they're not old guy masks. And they stop you and they talk to you. So they're really super creepy. They were like, "Where's everybody from?" And you could tell they're just trying to lure people in. Of course, they lured this one girl in. He's like, "Help me get up out of this bed." Of course, the minute she took his hand, he reached down and did this real loud air horn, scared everybody half to death. So, but it's a lot of fun.
But they like, get in the circle, Brian.
Yeah. But they had one thing that was really cool. This technology I had not seen before. Maybe some of you guys have seen it, but it was like you were going through this house that was kind of like maybe kind of a swamp theme, but they had this fog that would float at a specific level. So it looked like you were wading through a swamp almost, because the fog literally just stopped at one level.
The Haunted Graveyard has that at Lake Compounds, and there's
Yeah.
a laser on top of it, so it really is disorienting.
Yeah, it was that. And then they had another one that was going vertical. So that
Oh,
you had to
that's
pass through it like a waterfall kind of thing. That was the coolest thing. And they had people hidden underneath that fog to jump out and stuff. So that was really, really cool. I like that.
Yeah,
a lot.
that was one of the best. Actually, Lake Compounds has that in one of their sequences, and that's always my favorite spot because it's so disorienting, and it like you kind of because you're and usually I don't know how this one was, but this one at the Lake Compounds, it kind of starts mid-level and the slope you're walking on goes down a little bit. So it's up to almost your eye level, at least my eye level, because I'm not exactly tall. So it gets up to my eye level by the time you're getting to like the thick of it. So, and then you see people in there with you that are scare actors.
Yeah.
So it gets really cool. I wish more haunts did that, in all honesty, because that's probably one of the most simple but most effective effects that you could probably do.
It was really cool. They had some awesome they're not animatronics, they were just dummies because they were static, but they were just so good, like to the point that I could not tell some of them whether they were scare actors or not. I literally could not tell, and when I get closer they would be dummies, but they looked that realistic.
Well, yeah, and remember, we've always said this, one of the best ways to play on someone's fear is to make them, you put it in their own mind like that. So you don't need a fancy animatronic if you have a well-placed, like stagnant prop.
Yeah. They had one, it was a life-size Pennywise, and that was the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know how much they paid for that, but it was incredible. Completely life-size.
Was it new or old Pennywise?
It was the new one.
Oh, new one.
The new one.
Nice.
It was so cool.
Okay.
One guy really got me good, and he let me know it. He was this big clown, and he managed to sneak up behind me and scream at me like right as I had my attention distracted, and I jumped, and he started laughing. He was like, "I got him." And so then, like throughout the rest of the trail, every now and again, he would come out of the woods and say, "Yeah, I got you." I got you.
Did Olivia pay him $20 or something?
I don't know, maybe, but but no, it was a lot of fun. It was really, really fun. So yeah, Hickory Grove Haunted Trail. If you ever get up to that neck of the woods, it's in Mount Holly, North Carolina. It's a really
I definitely need. I need to come visit you for that. Your dad's party, and
yeah, it's reasonable too. It's $15, and I bet you it lasts 15 minutes. Walking through the thing.
That's a good deal considering when so many haunts are like $30 nowadays.
Yeah, you go through them in 5 minutes. I mean, this is a good long haunt.
Yeah, and the outdoors is always a plus too.
Yeah,
anyone can make a haunt. In a building where you're already confined, so that kind of helps. But when you're out in the open like that, you really need to notch up the scares. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool. So up next we have Paul's film You Can't Say No.
Yes, not horror related at all, of course. But as I mentioned, Paul is part of our Civil Gore family and one of my closest friends. And so his film was the closing film in the Chelsea Film Festival. So it was kind of exciting. And he flew from California to see it. So we, of course, Julie and I wouldn't miss that. So we went and saw it, and it was fantastic. It really is. It's, a lot of people would probably classify it as a romantic comedy, but it really is so much more. It's got so much depth to it, and it definitely does not fall into the same tropes that the romantic comedies fall into. Just a brief summary. It's about a couple are on the verge of a divorce. They've been married together a long time. They have grown kids, in the teens, and they decide they want one last-ditch effort to save the marriage by playing a game where they each pick 4 questions, which could be an actual question or a kind of a challenge, and the only rule is the other person cannot say no. So it gets them into some comedic scenes, of course, but there's some obviously hard-hitting, dramatic moments, and the performances are fantastic. Man, Paul's directing is top-notch. It was written and starring Hoos Miller, who I got to meet the first time. He's a great guy. He's also the star of it. Marguerite Moreau, who you might know from the Mighty Ducks, Connie Moreau, and she was also in Wet Hot American Summer. Hamish Linklater, who you've probably seen in a bunch of movies from New Adventures of Old Christine. He was in 42. He's in a ton of stuff. I'm just think a couple off the top of my head. Peter Fonda was in it, who played the main character's dad, and he was hilarious. He was so good. He was like so perfect for that role. And also Julie Carmen has a little bit of horror cred there. She was in there. And also Ingrid Volstead, who we just actually met her. She was actually there. She lives in New York currently. She plays a small character, which I don't want to go into too much of the movie, obviously. But she had a great performance. So yeah, it's definitely just right now. It's at the it's touring festivals. So I believe they're still looking for a main distributor. I'm hoping this film really does get one, because it's definitely something that if it comes your way, you need to check it out. And I'll share the website and where you can follow it, so you'll know if it's coming into your area. It's definitely something you don't want to miss.
Cool. Yeah, I can't.
So congratulations, Paul. Yeah,
congrats,
great
Paul. That
job,
sounds
Paul.
awesome. We have a podcast shout out. So we got a podcast recommendation for you guys, but I have not had a chance to listen to this one yet. So I'll let Brian talk about it.
Yeah. So I discovered this. I think it's because I want to say they followed us on Instagram. And so I looked at this and I thought it was just, the title caught me right away. It's called Kim and Ket Stay Alive, ... Maybe. And it's by two ladies, Kim Burns and Ketrin Porter. And they basically, the premise is simple. They kind of take a horror movie. One of them will watch it and basically describe it, to, go into the full movie to the other one. They alternate each week, and they basically, the object is they kind of go through the movie but pause at moments and kind of say, well, what would you do in this, and what do you think the character did, to see if that person makes a guess would pick right to stay alive, and they get points based on it. And at the end they do a summary of the points, and they are so hilarious. The two of them, they come up with like funny little like short nicknames for the characters, like in the first one they did the green room, and so Patrick Stewart was known as P Stew threw it out, and it just they just have so much fun with it. And then like Anton Yelchin, of course tragically passed away after he had made this movie. He went from Anton Yelchin R.I.P. to just Anton R.I.P. And and I think they had another character like it was like Ambi Blondie. They nicknamed the character. So it's just really fun, and it's fun to see the reactions, because it's like as if I watched a movie and literally just told it scene by scene to Tim and like got his reaction. It's super, super entertaining. So you definitely gotta check it out if you get a chance. I think they're about like 11 episodes through now, so it's still pretty recent.
Cool.
But they do a really good job, and it's really entertaining. So guys, yeah, check that out. And I'll send the link to later on too. But it's Kim and Ket Stay Alive, Maybe. So yeah, It's really good. Check it out.
Next up, we had a couple more episodes of Eli Roth's History of Horror. He did the slashers part 1 and 2. I want to hear about this one.
Yeah, this was the one I was really waiting for, because when you do like they do these like history of horror things, obviously you're gonna get the zombies, you're gonna get maybe the vampires or whatever, but this one, the slasher one, I was waiting for, and I'm glad they split it up into 2. They gave it the time it deserves, and it just goes through all the big ones that you can imagine, and it just also compared to where which way the slashers went, and how it was obviously it was a genre that was kind of reviled by critics, and they kind of go into how certain movies like Silence of the Lambs was they were trying not to market it as a horror film with any slashery elements to it, because critics at the time would never admit it. They would say it was funny. They were kind of surmising why it might not, they might not ever give it a good thing, because they figure if the critics say, "Oh, I like this," that means they like that tendency to slash and kill people.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous, but but it was just great, because obviously, of course, there's tons of stuff behind the scenes of Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street, Leatherface, Halloween. So it was really just some great stuff. This series is everything I'd hoped for and more. It's just definitely watch it, and you can stream it from the app. So if you missed anything, you can watch it on the AMC app. So if you need that, just look that up and watch these, because these are great. And just they have so many great guests on it. Like Kane Hodder was in there, of course, Robert Englund. You got the usuals of Greg Nicotero, Rob Zombie, and Eli Roth. just a lot of great insight for horror fans. Just this is the best show you'll see. It's great.
Yeah, I need to check that one out. I've got so much. My backlog is ridiculous right now.
I'm telling you, it's October. It's exhausting month for us.
Oh my gosh.
It's our Christmas.
Yeah, it really is. Next up, we're getting a sequel to The Boy, starring Katie Holmes. So that's just a little blurb there. I don't know much about that yet.
I don't know how they're gonna do a sequel.
I was about to say,
without giving spoilers, I don't want to. You haven't seen it, you'll know what. If you may be confused, but if you've seen it, you'll know. Like, really, is this gonna? How is this could be a sequel?
Yeah, it's a very weird plot to be able to make a sequel to. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
it's a good movie though.
Maybe
I enjoyed it.
A prequel, I could see. So maybe they misread it. I don't know. We'll see.
It's worth checking out. It was an entertaining movie.
Oh, I actually really enjoyed the first one. Lauren Cohan is so good, though.
Yeah, she really is.
And her performance was really fun in it. So it's really, So, I mean, I'm definitely would check this one out.
And hopefully we'll see some more of her now that she's leaving Walking Dead. So.
Yeah, because she's really she needs to be in a lot more stuff. She's very talented.
Yeah. Next up, we're getting one more Purge movie.
Yes.
Just one.
Yes.
I know.
I wrote it kind of weird. Basically, they said there is another one in the works, but that will be the last one. Which, you know what? Good, because
I'm fine.
You can't do this series much more, especially with the TV show out there. That's where you can expand on it.
Yeah.
And in video games, maybe, and in comics or something. But I think the movies have definitely run its course. I think you've gotten I mean, I'm actually curious to see where this last one is going to go, but I mean, I think they've done all you can really, or that you'd want in the movies. I think.
If they stopped now, they would have a strong franchise. I mean, there's none of these movies are bad.
No, they're not. And yeah, I agree. They could be right now. I mean, they may have a really cool story in the works. So, I'm obviously going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I haven't disappointed yet in any of them. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad they just don't. I just don't want them to do it where you're at like Purge 19,
there's no need for
something, and you don't want that.
I mean, that's what happened to the Saw franchise. They just exhausted it way beyond what it should have been.
Yeah,
but
it's just
the weirdest news of the week has to be
this has got to be it.
Now, we didn't see this one coming. Our
No.
prediction hats. We predicted a reboot of Friday the 13th was coming, but we had no clue that LeBron James would be behind it.
Yeah.
So he is rumored that he is going to be rebooting Friday the 13th.
Right.
Now, I can see this as an investment. I mean, if you're a basketball player and you've got more money than you know what to do with, that's a pretty safe investment.
Yeah. Well, someone said, I think it was Larry Zerner might have said it, or he might have retweeted someone else. They said maybe he's got so much money and expendable income that maybe he's literally there just to buy the rights from Victor Miller and then make the deal with Sean Cunningham again.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Whatever.
And in other news, I don't know if you heard, Larry Bird is talking about rebooting Nightmare on Elm Street. So I think we see a trend here,
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but then you think about it. Take away the whole basketball player angle. Is somebody with a lot of money wants to reboot Friday the 13th is what it boils down to. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, I think it's just funny because he's like, it'd be one thing if he was like, it's funny, I joked with Larry Bird, but if it was someone who retired, but here's a guy that's still in the prime of his career.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
And you know what? He didn't go to LA for just to play basketball. I can tell you that. He likes that limelight. He's been in movies.
Yeah.
He likes the attention. He likes the excitement and show business. He's a showman. So yeah, it actually makes more sense if you break it down, like you said.
And by all accounts, is a super nice guy and a great.
And he loves horror. I heard.
Yeah,
he said he's a big horror fan. So I mean, you know what? Hey. Listen, at this point, I don't care if Bob Costas came and rebooted Friday the 13th. I just want to see it.
Yes.
Oh,
my gosh. So we do, before we get to our last little bit of news, we do have a brief horror movie challenge update. So, as you know, next week will be the final few days of the horror movie challenge. I'm going to complete it. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, I think I will too. I'm on pace. I'm not ahead. I was a day ahead last week, but now I'm kind of even. But I'm gonna make it, I think.
Yeah. So we decided to make the next episode a recap of all the movies that we saw during the horror movie challenge, because I was telling Brian it would seem a shame not to talk about some of these, because I saw some really awesome movies.
Me too. Yeah.
I saw some really bad ones too, but I mean those are fun to talk about in their
Yeah.
own way. But it would be a shame not to give the listeners some recommendations from what we watched. I mean that's 60 some films that we kind of consumed over the course of the month that deserve to get some recognition. So that'll be a fun episode to do. And obviously we're not going to go into in depth on each one. We're just going to kind of rattle through them and kind of give our high level thoughts on each one of those. So that'll be a really fun episode.
Right. Yeah. And I think we actually double dipped on just one together. We hit the same one for Australia. But I mean, other than that, I think you and I have watched different films. I think Cody, I know she's going to do it too. She's caught up. I think I watched a couple that she ended up watching too.
Yeah, she had some good ones. She had some really good ones in there.
She went to I'm impressed. She always knocks it out of the park with these challenges, and she always comes up with some good stuff. So good job, Cody, as always.
Yeah, and our final bit of news, unfortunately, is a little bit of a sad news. It kind of got late breaking, but James Karen has died, who you would recognize, horror fans would absolutely recognize from Return of the Living Dead and Poltergeist and Mulholland Drive, and I'm sure many, many others that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, he does. He has a couple of other little lesser known horror films, but he definitely has this horror cred.
Yeah.
And that's sad news, because he's one of those recognizable faces that everyone knows. And around, I don't know, the East Coast, he was also the Pathmark guy from Pathmark Supermarkets. And so it was kind of funny, as I knew him as that first and then saw him in Return of the Living Dead. I'm like, hey, it's the Pathmark dude. But it's always sad when you lose someone that's like, one of those faces that are characters that everyone just loves in horror movies. And yeah, he was so good when he did it. And it's like, I tell you, the horror community has taken a couple, as great as it's doing now, it's taken a couple of hits the last couple of years in terms of the losses that we've had. But
yeah,
you know what? He's going to be remembered for sure fondly with all his work. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, October is winding down. Seems like it just flew by, but obviously that's the busiest month for horror Blu-ray releases, which is why our dismemberments have been insanely long. So we have one last long one for you to wrap out the end of the month. These are the Blu-ray releases from October 30th, 2018, our dismemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't come.
Okay, first up is just a kind of a quick blurb. Walmart has done some really cool, these are exclusives, retro VHS packages for some of their Blu-rays. And I was kind of looking at these over the weekend. They had some really, really cool covers. Again, me and Brian have said before, we're not really into the cover art collecting. I know some people are really into that. But these, I have to admit, these almost tempted me. But they're made to look like an old VHS tape. The one out this coming week is Happy Birthday to Me, which of course is a great movie. We've covered it on the podcast.
And it's not an easy movie to get. I mean, it's like there's an edition out there, but it's a pricey edition.
Yeah,
so if you kind of just want the movie,
it's odd that this one would be like a Walmart exclusive, because it's not that kind of movie that you would think Walmart would pick up.
Right.
I mean, you would think for them it's like, oh, American Werewolf in London and Evil Dead, and the really, really mainstream stuff. And this is not I would not say a terribly mainstream movie.
No, maybe they were late to the game and that's all that was left when they got the pick.
I don't know. But so go check that one out. I actually picked that one up.
I might too, because I do want the that nice special edition, but I don't know right now if I may compare. I still may get this just for the cool packaging. They know where to get Tim and I if they want to. They probably heard. They're like, oh, these guys won't just double dip for packaging. Well, we'll hit them with this retro VHS packaging. They can't resist. Yeah, so that's probably what happened. And there they go. They got me and Tim.
Well, the first legit disc up is one that I have been dying to see. Oh my gosh, I want to see this movie so bad because it's so.
And it's on Shudder too, which is good. So if you don't catch it on Blu-ray,
it's definitely coming to Shudder. Which as soon as it lands, I think it's not quite there yet. I think it was the 25th or 26th. By the time you hear this, it's already out. So
yeah, because it's got that coming soon banner on there that tempts you every time you open Shudder. So,
but this is Mandy from 2018, released by Image Entertainment, directed by Panos Cosmatos.
There's a new one.
That's a new one. Starring.
Isn't that Russian cosmonaut that?
Or Comatose.
I don't know.
Starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Face Off. Andrea Riseborough.
Get in the cage.
And,
I like beer. You almost forgot we had to
we
throw
almost
that
forgot
one
our
in.
I like beer. You're right.
Yeah.
Linus Roche. I don't know, Roche. The names are going to kill me this week, Brian.
Works. Yeah,
really
either
bad.
one works. Yeah.
So this is the one where Nicolas Cage kind of goes
Nicolas
insane,
Cage.
unlike all of his other movies.
Yeah, very different than the other Nicolas Cage one.
So the enchanted lives of a couple in a secluded forest are brutally shattered by a nightmarish hippie cult and their demon biker henchmen, propelling a man into a spiraling, surreal rampage of vengeance. And
Wow.
I can think of nothing I'd rather see more than Nicolas Cage getting revenge on hippies.
Right, but you know, if you take that premise and you take Nicolas Cage out, you probably got one of the crappiest movies of the year.
Yeah.
You put him in, and it's a totally different ball game.
Now, the downside is you don't get a lot of features on this one. You get a behind-the-scenes featurette and some deleted and extended scenes.
Which could be worth the price.
That's
you
true.
get extra Cage. Anything extra Cage is good.
That's true. I didn't think about that. A deleted Nicolas Cage scene may be worth the price of admission. So, yeah. Looking forward to that one.
Did you see that joke, by the way, speaking of Nicolas Cage, post around where it's like a little meme where the guy goes, he's sitting at the zoo and he goes, "Hey, is there any nickel in this cage?" And the guy says, "No." And he goes, "So you're telling me that it's a Nicolas Cage?" And then, it was so cheesy.
Man,
but I'm like, oh my God, this is...
meme.
It does. I know. I'm like, I got to tell this to Tim. It's so cheesy, but yeah, I had to pass that on.
Oh my gosh. Well, coming up is my pick of the week. And this is one I really want to get. This is Torso from 1973.
Yes, you had me watch this when we first started this podcast. I remember you mentioned it.
Yeah.
And it was on Shudder, and I decided to watch it in my car at work. And there's like within 2 seconds, there's boobs on the screen, and I'm like looking behind my back, making sure that no one thinks I'm in a car, like just being a pervert or something.
Yeah, this
Totally
is a good one.
embarrassing.
This is a good one. This one's released by Arrow. It's one of their great collector's releases.
Yeah.
Stars Susie Kendall, Tina Almont, Luke Miranda, and I forgot the director, Sergio Martino. A string of appalling lust murders shocks the University of Perugia, whatever, as a sadistic...
They have a good football team, though.
Yeah, whatever. However you pronounce it, they have a good football team. As a sadistic serial killer strangles to death beautiful college girls with a red and black scarf. So this is a packed disc. You have a brand new 2K restoration. We have 2 versions of the film, the 94-minute Italian version and the 90-minute English cut.
And by the way, in layman's terms, that's 4 minutes of extra boobs.
Yeah, exactly. The Italians love their boobs.
They do.
The original mono soundtracks for both languages. Obviously, so they're going through the subtitle stuff. You guys know that. New audio commentary by Kat Ellinger, author of All the Colors of Sergio Martino. So that's a kind of a film historian-ish.
Yeah, it's close.
A bunch of new video interviews. One with co-writer-director Sergio Martino, with actor Luke Miranda, with co-writer Ernesto Gastaldi, with filmmaker Federica Martino, daughter of Sergio Martino, and one with Michael J. Coven, author of La Dolce Morte, vernacular cinema and the Italian giallo film. There's a 2017 Abertoir International Horror Festival Q&A with Sergio Martino, some Italian and English theatrical trailers, and a reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Adam Rabelais. And in the first pressing only, you get an illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by Adrian Smith and Howard Hughes. So that's a really, really cool disc there that Arrow has put out. So that is my pick of the week.
Oh, okay.
Next up, The Incubus from 1982. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release, directed by John Hough. Hough? Is that how you spell it? H-O-U-G-H.
Huff. Oh, you know,
Huff?
I bet it's Huff.
Huff.
Yeah, I bet it's Huff.
Okay. Starring John Cassavetes, John Ireland, and Carrie Keane. And sit back, because we got a synopsis for you.
Oh, my God. I might need another beer just for this.
Oh, my God, yeah. I mean, it's cracking on. In a small town.
Yeah, I know. You gotta start it off right.
All right,
Tim.
we can-
Wait, start over. We're scratching.
Okay, we're scratching that.
Start over. Okay, there you go.
In a small town, Roy Seeley and his girlfriend, Mandy Pullman, are camping by the lake. Out of the blue, they are attacked and Roy is murdered while Mandy is violently raped. Dr. Sam Cordell is impressed with the violence and realizes that Mandy has had the uterus ruptured.
This is going into far
Where
more
is this
detail.
going? Yeah. Whoa.
Oh,
Then the librarian Carolyn Davies is also violently raped and murdered. Lieutenant Drivus believes that the women have been raped by a gang, while Sam and Sheriff Hank Walden believe that only one man did. The snoopy reporter, Laura Kincaid, is always interfering with the investigation, and Sam has a love affair with her. Meanwhile, the young Tim Gallen, who dates Sam's daughter Jenny Cordell, discloses that he has premonitory visions of the deaths, but his grandmother Agatha Gallen tries to convince him that he has nothing to do with the murders. But when Jenny learns about his dreams, she summons her father, Laura, and they discover a supernatural secret about the Gallens family.
Wow. There is so much to process in that. I'm glad they give the full characters' names, like if we're going to, this is going to help us decide this.
They seemed really obsessed over the rape and murder stuff.
Yeah.
A little concerned for the writer there.
Yeah, and I don't like that this guy is impressed, is the word they chose to say. He's impressed with that. But by the way, you know that guy, Lieutenant Dreyfus? Do you think at one point he goes, I'm Lieutenant Dreyfus? But we haven't brought him back in a while.
We haven't brought him back in a while. Good
I know.
job,
He needs
Brian.
to make an appearance. Yeah, I had to throw him in. So.
All right, so this one has some good features. Brand new 4K restoration. An interview with director John Huff. Interview with lead actress Carrie Keene. An interview with cinematographer Albert J. Dunk.
I knew you were going to laugh at that.
Oh, that's great.
Well, you know what? Again, that fits the basketball horror connection now. You know,
they got to get him
LeBron
for the new Friday the 13th.
They do. Oh my god, yeah. LeBron James presents an Albert J. Dunk film. Yeah, come on.
Come on. That's comedy gold there, guys. You can't buy that.
Is.
Oh my gosh. Trims and alternate shots, original theatrical trailer, TV spots, a commentary track with The Hysteria Continues, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a podcast track. And
maybe,
reversible cover artwork. So, and I wish I had the song to play for this next one, but Brian's pick of the week.
I could sing it.
Okay,
I'll sing
you'll
it.
sing. You sing it. Okay, Brian, lead us in.
Marvelous Mervo, at your service. Marvelous Mervo, that's my name. Whenever you need a friend to call on, magic and laughter's my game. I might be a little off on those lyrics, but I haven't seen it in a while. But this is already my pick of the week, by the way. Yeah. If you haven't discussed, if you don't remember from earlier episodes, the fabulous Tiny Tim and as Mervo the Clown in Blood Harvest.
Yes, Blood Harvest. And you said this one's limited to 1,500?
Yeah, so I cheated a little. I peeked ahead for one of the rare times through our dismemberment, because actually I was trying to edit something at the last minute, and I saw it, and it was from Vinegar Syndrome, so I was trying to look it up, and this is actually my first ever Vinegar Syndrome purchase from their site, which is very easy. They do PayPal, and it's great, and they give you many options. They actually have a thing, if you're one of their members, they'll just throw it into your monthly package if you're ordering something from them. It's pretty cool. But yeah, and it said it's limited to 1,500, and I think it actually releases the 30th of October. But they say it's in stock now, which means I think it just means because it's a limited. They're probably saying they're still available, so it's probably a misleading in stock characterization. But it's not bad pricing for something that's limited and like this, and this is the full-on cut version. It's $24.99 plus $4 to get it shipped like standard.
Yeah, that's a cool little movie. So
yeah,
this one was 1987. We covered this one, right? We did a whole episode.
No,
on this, or we didn't do
the episode. I don't think is what we did. Is you had discovered it, I think. I don't think we did the full episode. Yeah, we wanted to, but I think you saw it and you told me to watch it. And I
we talked about it for a little bit because I think even put the music on there.
You did, yeah. It was one of our earlier episodes where we weren't lazy and we did stuff like that.
So this one has a brand new 4K restoration, a brand new commentary track with producer and co-writer Leszek Bierzinski. Tiny Tim in Niagara Falls, which I'm assuming is an interview, and a booklet
or a
with
concert. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a booklet with essay by Tiny Tim biographer Justin A. Martell and reversible.
He's got his own biographer.
Yeah,
Tiny Tim. Think about that, and Mr. Tip through the toilet. Yeah,
I can't get that high. My voice isn't that high. But yeah, so that's a cool little novelty item. That's a good one to have on the shelf.
Yeah, but you have to read because this description, the synopsis, rivals the one we just said.
Oh yeah, I forgot the synopsis. In a small town, people are being murdered by having their throats cut. That's it.
And let me tell you, after seeing that film, that's not even what happens.
No,
I think maybe one of them gets cut, but it's not even what happens.
It's like they literally left out the whole part about Tiny Tim as a clown.
Yeah, the best part of this
That's your
movie.
selling point, guys.
Yeah, that he literally plays a clown named Mervo. How do you leave that out?
It's such an odd little film. You got to see it.
But,
it's so weird.
But I love it, and I had to add it to my collection instantly because, especially because it wasn't listed, but a Vinegar Syndrome site has listed it though as that it's one of the rare uncut. I think Shudder has the uncut version on there, but apparently, according to Vinegar Syndrome, no other release has ever had the full, true uncut version. It's always been like snipped at some spots. No pun intended, but so. We don't know what made Tiny Tim's voice so high, but yeah. So it's but it's definitely it is a fun movie. Right now, it's on Shudder, so I suggest everyone goes to watch it, and you will want to own this in your collection. It's pretty entertaining.
All right. Well, speaking of movies you may not want to own for your collection,
You're right.
I don't know.
Let's go to the other end.
This was called The Wasp Woman from 1959. Shout Factory release. This is a Roger Corman film. Also uncredited, directed by Jack Hill. Starring Susan Cabot, Anthony Isley, and Barbara Morris. A scientist develops a youth formula for a cosmetics queen from jelly taken from queen wasps. Wasps. I hate that word. Failing to anticipate the typical horrible side effects. Like, if they're typical, why did he not anticipate these?
Yeah, I know. That should have been the ones he should have anticipated.
And do wasps make jelly? Is that a thing?
I don't. I mean, they got to put something on their toast, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I didn't think they did. But speaking of this, though, we have to do a Roger Corman film at one point, just so for my 6 degrees of decapitation. I can't speak tonight. We can do. I want to do Roger Corman to Harvey Corman. So we need to do.
Yes,
we need to do one just for that reason.
Okay. Well, we will do that. I promise that at some point. The next one up is called The Killing Kind from 1973, released by Vinegar Syndrome, directed by Curtis Harrington, starring Ann Sothern, John Savage, and Ruth Roman. Young Terry Lambert returns home from serving a prison term for a gang rape.
Again, what is the theme of this?
What's the gang rape stuff this week?
Dismemberment, jeez.
He was forced to participate in. So he seeks revenge on his lawyer and the girl who framed him. But his real problem is his overbearing mother, whose boarding house he resides in and who keeps bringing him glasses of chocolate milk.
What?
That bitch. But anyway.
What? Why is that a factor? What? Seriously, why was that... Why did that seem relevant enough to put into the synopsis? I don't get it.
One of her boarders, Laurie, becomes attracted to him. However, while he was serving his prison sentence, Terry developed an interest in rough, violent sex and gory death. Now, by one, some of the townswomen pop up dead.
Wow, this one is a...
I don't think this would fly in 2018. Is what I'm thinking.
No, but this is wrong. I just want to see. I just want to see it so I can see how the chocolate milk plays a factor. That's all.
Yeah.
I just want to see that sequence and see really how much she keeps bringing him the chocolate milk.
I mean, you'd have to bring me a lot of chocolate milk for me to want to start killing people.
I know. What does it have? What is that? Some kind of crazy drug in it or something? I don't understand.
I don't know. My kids drink a lot of chocolate milk. Like, I hope I'm not, turning them into psychopaths. But
no, I don't. I mean, now if it was like they made a movie where like the Quick Rabbit was coming after you, because of then that would be something. But yeah, this one doesn't. I don't think it's going that way though.
For special features, we got a brand new 2K restoration, an archival interview with filmmaker Curtis Harrington. Harrington on Harrington, a career-spanning interview with Curtis Harrington, directed by Jeffrey Schwartz and Tyler Hubby. Historical commentary track with David Decato of Rapid Heart and David Del Valle of Sinister Image.
Does that count as a historian almost? Maybe.
I think so, yeah. And reversible cover artwork. I mean, this reversible cover artwork is like a thing now. Almost every
Yeah,
disc.
even the Merva the Clown one has it.
Yeah.
Blood Harvest has it.
Next up, I almost missed this one because it didn't look like a horror movie.
I'm laughing at the director.
I don't know.
Oh my God! Look at the cast. What is this? Oh man!
I just write it down, guys. I don't make this stuff up.
I know. It's like that messenger. Don't kill the messenger. But this one is a.
This one's called Death by Temptation. DEF. Death by Temptation. From 1990, released by Vinegar Syndrome, directed by James Bond III.
Bond. James Bond.
Starring James Bond III, Kadeem Hardison, and Bill Nunn. An evil succubus is preying on libidinous.
Hey, you know what I just realized? Technically, if you look in the order, Kadeem Hardison is second to none because he's the second. That's okay. Terrible. Sorry.
Oh my gosh! It's too late for this
really
kind of jokes, Pride. Okay, an evil succubus. Let me try this again. An evil succubus is preying on libidinous black men in New York City, and all that stands in her way is a minister in training, an aspiring actor, and a cop who specializes in cases involving the supernatural.
I expected one person to all that stands in her way is one man, but it's like a whole trio of people that stand in her way.
Oh my gosh, this is what a weird title. Brand new 2K restoration, a new career-spanning audio interview with writer, producer, director, actor James Bond III. I gotta look this guy up.
Yeah.
Ernest and Lloyd, a candid conversation between cinematographer Ernest Dickerson and Lloyd Kaufman.
I thought those were those two guys from Get Smart, the movie, remember? But that's I think, Harry and Lloyd or something. I don't know. Oh no, that's Harry and Lloyd. That's from Dumb and Dumber. I don't know.
Yeah, or Harold and Maude. I don't know.
Yeah, one of them.
Film historian and critic. Critic Michael Gingold on Death by Temptation.
That's like the new AKA, it seems like, for us.
We hadn't had an AKA in a while.
I know. Well, we were replaced with film historians and that guy from marketing or whatever, Samuel Sherman or whatever.
An original trailer and an archival article gallery and reversible cover artwork, of course. So, next up is Slender Man from 2018. Released by Sony Pictures, directed by Sylvain White, starring Joey King, Julia Goldani Tellis, and Jazz Sinclair. In a small town in Massachusetts, a group of friends, fascinated by the internet lore of the Slender Man, attempt to prove that he doesn't actually exist, until one of them mysteriously goes missing.
I'll give this one a watch. I don't know if I'm going to purchase this necessarily, but I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, my coworker, he really liked it. He said...
someone reached out to us on social media and said it was really good.
Yeah, so we'll give this one a chance. Has a featurette called Summoning Slender Man, Meet the Cast. So, next up, another 2018 release, Our House from Shout Factory. This was directed by Anthony Scott Burns, starring John Ralston, Thomas Mann, and Percy Hines White. A young genius accidentally invents a device that amplifies the paranormal activity within his family's house, possibly bringing back the spirits of loved ones and unleashing things far worse. I like the premise. That's a cool premise.
I do too.
And finally, we have American Exorcist from 2018, released by Gravitas Ventures.
I'm dying to see that. Have you seen the trailer for this?
Yes, this looks cool.
They sent us this. Remember they emailed us this trailer. This looks fantastic. I can't wait for this, actually.
Yeah, this one's directed by Tony Trove and Johnny Zito, starring our favorite Texas Chainsaw alumnus, Bill Moseley. Is it Gemma?
I think Gemma, yeah.
Gemma McElhenney and Alexa Marie Santee. A paranormal investigator trapped in a haunted skyscraper on Christmas Eve. The skeptical,
Die Hard.
Yeah, I was thinking this was like
it's like the horror Die Hard.
The skeptical young woman, Georgette Dubois, is horrified once confronted with the reality of the supernatural. She risks life and limb to escape her ghoulish prison stranded on the 11th floor.
I like the premise of this, and if Bill Moseley's in it, sign me up. I mean, he's like one of those, I'll probably watch anything with him in it. So,
That sounds like a cool one. I'm definitely gonna at least give that on a rental.
Oh,
Sounds cool. No theatrical releases this week, unless you want to go see Johnny English Strikes Again or whatever.
How many of those? They just keep releasing those.
I don't know.
They?
I love Rowan Atkinson though.
I do
really
too.
do.
I just it's like I can't keep up with his.
It's just
his
weird.
characters.
It's just
Yeah.
like, is that a franchise thing? Like, is that?
I think it is. I think it's like the third one. I think Cone was talking
Like, are
about
they
that. I think there's at
successful
least
enough
3.
though over here to like keep warranty, or is it like a big thing in the UK? Or
I'm sure it's big over there. I mean, I loved Mr. Bean. I used to watch that all the time.
I've got the box set of every Mr. Bean.
Yeah, I mean that was great. I don't know if this one, like, I think he does better when he doesn't talk in things, but because
Yeah.
he's funnier as a physical comedian. So I don't know what I never actually saw any of the Johnny Englishes, but
I watched the first one. It was okay. I mean, if you like Mr. Bean, it's kind of the same.
Oh, so it is like that. Okay, then
antics.
I might like
mean,
those.
he
Okay.
talks obviously, but it's it's kind of the same kind of physical comedy. So you would enjoy it if you like
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Bean.
All right.
And Rowan
I do. I
Atkinson's
love
stand-up
Mr.
special is phenomenal.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think I just loved Mr. Bean so much that, like, there was a movie he did where he was it wasn't as Mr. Beanish, and I was a little disappointed. But
Yeah. yeah. Go find his stand-up special. Oh, it's so good.
okay, you have to check that out.
Okay, so let's get to our main event, Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Andy Is it Matichak? Did we?
I've been saying it as Matichak. I'm not even sure else how to pronounce it, but
Yeah, I don't either. Well, if we get that wrong, we apologize.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of interviews and stuff for this movie because I was avoiding spoilers, which we are going to avoid as well. So, guys, if you have not seen the movie, don't worry. I mean, if you really don't want to know anything about the movie, obviously wait until after you've seen it before listening to this podcast. But we are not going to go into any kind of plot spoilers.
yeah, if there's any kind of spoilerish things in it, it is completely accidental and we're just trying to be vague about as much as we can. So it could be, I mean, like Tim said, if you don't want to know anything, I would wait. But, because we are going to go into different possibly themes of the movie, not without going to any true specifics.
Yeah. I mean, so
at least ones that are non-essential, like that are not going to ruin anything.
Yeah, no, this is going to be like our general impressions type thing.
Right.
So I'll read the summary here. Laurie Strode comes to her final confrontation with Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. So, Brian, you can finally reveal your secret story behind this movie.
Yes. So, as you know, we have been talking about this for a long, long time, and I think it was July. I remember this. I was laying at the beach, and all of a sudden, I was looking at my phone, and I get this email from that GoPhobo screening thing where they send you things, and I had to do like a triple take because it said, respond to see a free screening of Halloween, and I'm like, oh, maybe they mean the original, maybe I'm like not thinking along the lines, and I look at it, and then I notice it says Halloween 2018 by Blumhouse, David Gordon, and I'm like, what? And I did this like minor freak out moment. Julie's in the middle of a conversation. I think I just interrupted whatever she was doing. I'm like, we gotta see Halloween. We're gonna see Halloween. So I quickly responded to the thing, and it said you are now confirmed. Now, just as a private, I've done this before with this screening company, and just because they say you are confirmed, by no means does that guarantee you a seat. And it says that multiple times on this, and I learned the hard way because Julie and I had this once before, a few years back with, I think it was like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And so we assumed we had a seat, and we showed up about a half hour before the movie, like you would in a normal movie. And there were no seats, and they said it was gone. So with this, I took no chances whatsoever. And I think it was Saturday I found out, and the screening was Monday. So as soon as I got into work on Monday morning, and I asked my boss if it was okay to leave early, which she gladly obliged. And so I met Julie there. So I got there around maybe I think the show was at 7:30. I was there close to 3:30.
Wow.
Or 4 o'clock because I wasn't going to take any chances. And so I get there, and, I was wondering, if, because I know some script, I went to a preview screening of a couple of other things, like the Clone Wars animated movie one time, and I remember they were really big on, you weren't allowed to have any kind of cell phones or anything, and this was back when cell phones were way less, technologically advanced, where, having a camera was kind of a big thing on it. So, I'm like, I was kind of worried about that, so I brought kind of like a little bag of stuff, but they came around, and I actually, by getting there at that time, I was still like 8th or 9th online, by the way.
Wow.
And, yeah, so we're there. I'm waiting online. Julie kind of got stuck at work, so thank God I went first because she didn't get there close to like 5. And so, and they came around and they were saying, by the way, you need to put your cell phones back in the car before the movie. We're going to start letting people in around like 6:30, and, so you need the thing back then. So I was like, oh, this sucks because, now, I mean, thank God Julie had showed up when she did because otherwise I was going to be standing there on the line, not knowing who to talk to. And so, and here's the funny thing. So I knew it was kind of going to be, it was going to be an early screening of it, but and I wasn't sure what stage the movie was in, but since it was so early on and it turned out to be like a legit focus group screening, they were coming around with, I had to sign something basically to say that I would not discuss it. I cannot post anything about it on social media. I cannot, and literally it actually said, if you know anyone or part of you're part of any kind of media, or any family members, please do not, you can't see this movie. And so I'm sitting here, thank God I didn't wear like my Michael Myers shirt or a Civil Gore shirt, which at one point crossed my mind. And I'm like, because that would have got me literally thrown off the line. And so I'm sitting there and I'm signing this and I said, oh my God, this is going to be torture because I really can't say anything, like I wouldn't have spoiled anything, but I would have like said, hey, I got to see it, or something like that. Something very minor. But so then they came around and a lady came around. She pulled me and Julie kind of off the line and asked, she goes, hey, and asked us a few questions like what our ages were, what kind of movies we like. And we said that and I was like, oh God, am I busted? Did she find out somehow? But what she did is she says, no, she goes, we need, so she goes, so the people from Blumhouse are here and we need a small focus group to come answer some additional questions after. And at this point, I'm freaking out because I'm like, holy shit, Blumhouse is here? So pardon the French, I dropped it. I know we don't curse that much on there, but so I'm like, oh my God, Blumhouse is here. And I can't do anything about it. I can't like go up to say anything like, hey, I have a podcast because, I'm supposed to be like average Joe here watching this movie. So we get on and there are some people that are total like hardcore Halloween fans. Like the group behind us was like, I mean, it's sitting there saying, oh my God, imagine if Jamie Lee Curtis is here and this and that and all these people. And these people didn't even know that because the lady purposely pulled people out of the line to tell them this news. And she said, we're not announcing it, very hush hush about this. So we finally got in, we get to see the movie. And then we get, they told us, okay, so all right, we'll wait about 15 minutes. And we filled out the regular questionnaire. And then they said, okay, we're going to sit down. Anyone that's been picked for this, please come take the first 2 rows. So we go in the rows, and without going into it, because it'll obviously lead to some spoilers, I could tell this on a later date. If anyone wants to obviously email us, I can go tell you that way, basically what kind of was going on. And, but, and it was like a moderator, and he was asking questions on specifics, and I could tell I was trying to be as, kind of like as Midland as possible, but also kind of sticking in a couple of like horror cred things in there so I can make sure this movie is not like steered in the wrong direction. Yeah. Even though at that point, there was only so much they were going to do to it.
Right.
But so the fun part was I'm sitting there and this guy, the whole time it didn't even dawn on me to turn around. But the guy noticed like when certain people were saying something, he would like kind of rush off from them if it was kind of either non-essential information or maybe too specific to kind of what he asked. And it wasn't until we left, when we were walking out, where this was the hardest, probably most restraint I had to show. As we're walking by, Ryan Turek, David Gordon Green, and Jason Blum are literally sitting there.
Oh my gosh.
In the theater. And I'm like, like I want to go up to them. Like I wanted to just go up to them first, give them all a hug and say thank you for rebooting this franchise and that I'm such a fan of Blumhouse, and I'm like, listen to Civil Gore, and I'm gonna like throw a bunch of business cards at them. But of course we did. I didn't. I just kind of sat there and being a very good co-host and friend to Tim, I basically did not tell him a thing.
No,
I was good.
No,
right?
Brian, I will swear by this. other than telling me he got to see the screening, that's all he said. He did not tell me one word about what he thought of it. I mean, not even a hint.
Nope.
Anything. I mean, complete, like, total NDA professional. So, yeah, Brian, hats off to you. I mean, kudos for keeping that from, knowing I wouldn't tell anybody.
No, you wouldn't. Well, no, I didn't want to spoil anything for you either.
But
I was not worried about a trust issue. Believe me, because it was more the fact that, like, obviously I'm not going to, and it was a torture that, like, Tim could not, like, but I mean, obviously, me getting there at 4:00 is easy from just a half-hour drive, but Tim driving 10 hours to get there might be a little difficult. But and that was one of the hardest parts too, is that I couldn't discuss it with it. Like, I wish Tim could have seen it, and I couldn't discuss anything. I mean, it was rough, and but I stick to my word, and as a fan, I sure as hell did not want to. I mean, people asked me. There's some people knew I saw it. I tried to not even tell people that I saw it, other than Tim, because I felt like I had to tell him. Yeah. But I didn't. Yeah, I told a couple other people that I saw it, but I'm like, I won't say a word because I'm not, I don't want to ruin it for someone. It's too big of a movie, and it was too many people. Like, even Cone was kind of trying. So what'd you think of it? I'm like, I'm not gonna say a word. I'm not telling you. Go see it. Wait till it comes out. I said, and plus I said it's probably gonna be a little bit different anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, and I wouldn't do that to anyone. It's being part of the fandom. You want to respect the products.
Yeah.
So
I wanted.
But yeah, now that I can finally say that I saw it.
It's got to be a relief for you.
It is.
Yeah. So the way I wanted
and I
to
did see it again, though. I did see it again, of course.
Because you went and saw the. I was about to say the retail version, but like the
retail
version.
Yeah, I saw the release, the retail release of it.
Yeah, the way I wanted to start this off though, because I thought we're going to go to the performances and stuff like that. High level, but I wanted to give like our overall impressions just up front. Right. Now, for me, unfortunately, I had a less than ideal screening. And the reason was I was getting ready to leave on this trip to Charlotte. So I did not really have time I almost thought I was not going to see it at all because I was going to be gone all weekend.
Which was making my whole first part of the story worse because I'm like, oh God, now I can't. I gotta wait an extra couple of days.
So I'm like, well, if I can't see it, and my mom was out of town, she wasn't gonna be able to keep the kids or anything. I mean, it was gonna be like a real hassle to try to see this movie. Well, fortunately, I found out there was a 5:00 showing right after work, and so I asked Olivia. I was like, hey, do you mind if I go see this by myself? Because it's like the only chance I'm gonna get. And she didn't. She couldn't see it. Obviously, she had to keep the kids. The kids had classes and all this stuff. So she's like, sure, go ahead, whatever. She knew I needed to see it for the podcast. So
right.
I took off a little bit early from work, went straight over there. The theater is literally 2 minutes from my office. So that was nice. But knowing I was going in there at 5:00, this is a theater doesn't get huge sellout crowds typically anyway, because wherever it's located. It's a really fantastic theater, brand new. It's less than a year old, but just people don't come there a lot. And so I knew it was going to be a light crowd. Well, there was probably 5 people in there other than me.
Oh, no.
5:00 showing, matinee showing. Now, the good side of that is I didn't have any annoying crowd people because there was no crowd. But the bad side is I didn't get the crowd reaction. And the other problem was the audio was ever so slightly, I'm talking like milliseconds off. And so it was just enough to be noticeable. And I saw I was getting ready to go say something to the manager, and I saw like a couple of guys get up and go out and then come back in, and I saw like the manager come in and look at it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, they've already told him. But nothing ever came of it. Like, they never fixed it right. So it was always a little off through the whole movie. So that was my bad experience. So keep that in mind when you hear my thoughts about it. I didn't get the crowd reaction that Brian got and stuff, although I could see where it would have gotten a crowd reaction. But that said, I really enjoyed the movie. I loved the fan service. I thought it was the best sequel, although I'm hesitant to place it above Halloween 2. And I have my reasons for that.
Right.
Even though it is, and that's because to me, Halloween 1 and 2 are sacred. It's like Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Like you don't don't touch those, and it's really, really difficult for me to place this one above Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2.
Right.
I would put it over all the other sequels. I'd put it over Rob Zombie stuff. I'd put it over H2O. I'd put it over any of the other stuff. I enjoyed it that much. So to me, it's the third best Halloween film. Although, and I'm saying it's close. Like I'm only putting it above Halloween 2 because of the nostalgia factor.
Right.
But it was fantastic. They got we'll get into that later. I won't go into that.
Yeah.
But, I do have some nitpicks. I told Brian about those before the podcast because I did not want to go into them on this show because it went too much into spoiler territory.
Yeah, it was like just on the cusp of it enough that...
Yeah, so, I mean, I did have one kind of major sticking point with the movie that bothered me, but it was not enough to ruin my enjoyment of the film. And discussing that sticking point with other people outside has made me come to terms with it better, and I think if I see it again, I'll come to terms with it even more, because I think Brian was okay with it having seen it twice. I think he had a little bit better feel for what I was getting at. So,
yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. I loved it. If you're a Halloween fan, you're gonna love it. Great fan service, but also it's a good solid slasher. And it gives you what you would expect, what you wanted out of this movie. So that's my overall feel.
Yeah, no, I agree with just about everything. And in fact, it's funny, Tim had said that, that I saw it twice. There was actually a couple of moments in there that, even though when I first saw it at the test screener, I came out with a grin, ear to ear, because it was kind of everything that I wanted in it and more. But I did have, of course, a couple of nitpicks. But when something's so close to you that you love so much, of course, you're going to find stuff. But it was funny. Between the test screening and the final product that was released, they tightened some stuff up, which made one of the nitpicks actually completely not bother me the second time, which was interesting, I thought, because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it was just the pacing was, now that it was tightened up, made everything just flow perfectly. But and I know, and basically, obviously, not to go into details, what Tim was talking about is we actually did discuss it before, and I kind of gave my viewpoint on it, which, like Tim did say, he's like, maybe the second, it was the second time I saw it, it like, things make more sense. Because, and also it's like anything. It's like, you've waited how long for this movie? This is the one that you've been waiting for a long time. Mm-hmm. And you thought you might have been getting it with H2O, you really didn't. So this is the one that you kind of were waiting for, and so there's a lot of emotion built up for it, and you have some kind of anticipations for it, and so there's this kind of this excitement and energy that you have going in. So if you sometimes you'll miss stuff just to pure adrenaline, And but this, I overall though, I couldn't have been more happy. I think they did a fantastic job putting enough fan service in while not sacrificing the narrative of the movie. I thought there were, without going into any details, of course, again, the kills were great. The cinematography was great. I think the scenes in Haddonfield took you right back to 1978. You got the feel that it was truly a Halloween movie and not just another sequel, which I thought was going to be the biggest challenge, but I think they nailed that. You felt like it was a direct sequel to the original.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the look and feel of the movie, making it feel like it was, and it doesn't, not in a tacked on retro way. It was still modern, but it had enough nods to the original that you really got that. It evoked that feel of 1978. So I really like that about it. You could tell. I could tell even in an empty theater. I could tell the crowd pleasing moments in this movie.
Oh yeah, and you just got basically the same feeling you get with watching original, that fall Halloween feel to it, of the whole town celebrating. You got that still in it, just like you did when you saw it in the the original. And I thought that was going to be a challenge, but they succeeded to get it. I mean, and it was great. That part was, you couldn't have. I don't think they could have done that part any better.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the performances. I mean, obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis was completely phenomenal in this movie. Like,
oh my God,
absolutely loved her in this movie. Like she was Laurie Strode, just 40 years older.
Yep.
So yeah, she was fantastic. Like, she went above and beyond my expectations for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, she was. I mean, I mean, people may laugh at this notion, but it's like I know this would, and she would never be considered at any kind of like award show nominee for something. But you almost want to say, well, why the hell not? I mean, she was great.
Yeah, and blows away even her stuff in H2O. I mean, this. I mean, it really is. It's really her movie. Brian and I kind of touched on this before the show, before we started recording, because we were talking about it. But this is not Michael's movie. This is her movie.
Yeah, it really is.
She has to carry the weight of it, and she does just a phenomenal job with it.
Yeah, I mean, she just explodes off the screen. I mean, just from her first sequence in the movie to her last, it's great. She's like top notch, all in, top flight performance. And you couldn't have asked for anything more from her.
Yeah. Let's see. It's going down. I'm just kind of going down the list here.
Yeah.
I know we had these on the rundown, Brian. But I'm kind of just going through IMDb in order.
Yeah.
So, Judy Greer, who played Karen, which is Laurie's daughter. Now, to me, I mean, she was great in this as well.
Yeah.
Judy Greer, she's just one of those actresses that I just always imagine in comedies. So it was a little jarring to see her in that role.
Yeah.
But she was fine. She did a great job.
She's always been one of my favorites. And, and I kind of like when I said, wow, she got cast in that? I said, that seems like such an odd choice, but I thought she was perfect. I mean, listen, you got writers and a director that was known really well for comedy. Why can't you get a comedy actress?
Yeah,
doing a great job in the role also. And I thought she was great for what she had. I mean, she was, it was definitely a departure from her comedic roles by a lot. But yeah. I thought she did a great job. I always liked her and stuff. So
she's a great actress. With her. She didn't have a lot. She didn't have a huge role in this movie. So it's kind of hard to say with some of these people, because they they're not central. But speaking of her, kind of along the same lines, Toby Huss plays her husband.
Right.
And I kind of always picture him as more of a comedic actor as well.
Well, he tried in this a little bit.
Yeah. So and he was fine again too.
Yeah.
For the roles these were, I can't call them bit roles because they're not like bit, but they're smaller, of course. But they were perfectly fine. I thought Andy Matichak, who was Allison, who was Laurie's granddaughter, she did a phenomenal job. She was great.
Right, and it's funny because I originally thought when they first cast her, I didn't know anything about her, but I saw the look they were trying to give her, and I thought they were going to make her exactly like Jamie Lee Curtis was in the original, but they didn't. She was her own character, but you saw shades of like both versions of like Laurie Strode. You saw her from the 78 and the way she is now in the current times. So they kind of had a nice little parallel going with her character there, and I thought she knocked it out of the park too.
Yeah,
I thought she was great for what she was.
Yeah, I really liked her performance in this. Let's talk about Michael himself. So Nick Castle played Michael in scenes where his mask is off.
Right.
There were some scenes where you never really
they showed that in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler.
That's not a spoiler. You see that in the trailer, which I thought was awesome because in the Rob Zombie films, especially Halloween 2, when he was just like this vagrant with no mask on or whatever.
Oh, that still irks me to this day.
I thought it just completely ruined the fright factor. But for some reason in this movie, and it's probably due to Nick Castle's just imposing presence, like even in the scenes where you could kind of see a little bit of Michael's face, he still seems scary.
Yeah, because they did a great job. I because I had thought like maybe you saw a little too much of him still even in this without that, but you know what? Then I realized I think they tightened it up again, and the second version I saw it wasn't as bad. I really hats off to the editor on that, because they managed to cut right before you could really get a good look.
Yeah,
so that was pretty good.
And so James Jude Courtney plays the Shape in his normal, most of his action sequences and stuff, and I thought he did a great job. I mean, this was a great Michael. I never felt like some of these sequels with the mask is just so bad, and the there's something about
it's like its own character in some of those sequels. It's so bad.
It really is. Like, I never felt like this wasn't Michael.
Right.
Like, I mean, granted, nobody's ever gonna replace Nick Castle, but he did a really good job. And there's a lot of Michael in this movie. There's a lot of him walking around. There's a lot of sequences where you see him in bright daylight, which they could have gotten really wrong.
Right.
I mean, he's exposed. The mask is exposed in bright light. I mean, they could have really screwed this up, and somehow they really, really did a good job making him feel like authentic, like the original Shape.
Right, and I mean, might as well now. It's a good lead-in. I know we don't have it on the rundown. Well, I do have it, but not in this order yet. But might as well do it now. The mask itself.
The mask is the best mask since the original.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
It's not perfect.
No,
it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it is 100%. I think it's my favorite mask since the original.
Yeah, I agree. It was frightening to look at, and it was not like you definitely could see it like it looked like like an aged version of the original, which is what they were going for. So
yeah, and I even went back and looked at Halloween 2's mask just to make sure.
That was a weird one. That's always a weird one. The Halloween 2 one. It seems like smaller, doesn't it? Like the head is smaller. And
and some of them, there's like the resurrection mask. Oh my god, like some of these are so bad, but this one they really nailed the mask on this one. It was fantastic. I can't. I'm a mask freak about the Halloween series. Like, that's my obsession.
Well, that's it. That's the biggest key to Michael Myers is that mask.
Yeah, they just did such a great job. Who else we got? We got, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Haluk Bilginer, who played Dr. Sartain.
Yeah.
He was good. He was okay. I mean, he was. It's hard when you get a Loomis type character. You're always gonna compare them to Donald Pleasance, and
they even joke about it in there. There's like a line with the new Loomis. You know?
And he can't hold a candle to Donald Pleasance, but he did a fine job. I mean, nobody in this did a bad job at all.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, there was not one performance that you could say, ugh. Yeah. Oh, if only they had a different person for it. I mean, it's like Will Patton. I thought was great. He's always been one of my favorite.
Oh yeah, too. Will Patton's awesome in anything. Like he had the I won't give much away. We had a couple of characters. Rion Rees,
right? The podcasters
plays Dana, and Jefferson Hall, who I always loved since The Force Awakens. He played Aaron, who's also one of the podcasters. So really, really good. And even the side characters were phenomenal. Some of the big characters that we won't go into for spoilers, but there's some other little secondary ancillary characters that are really, really good as well. Cinematography,
like the best friend is kind of funny.
Yeah.
That guy's cool.
Yeah, he was really good. I think I've never seen him before in anything, but he was good. Cinematography, great. Like we said, again, I don't even want to give anything away in terms of some of the stylistic choices they made, because if you're a Halloween fan, you're going to enjoy those. But it was really, really good. And again, like I said, Brian, surprisingly, a lot of daytime or brightly lit nighttime shots.
Yeah,
that were kind of cool, because you're so used to, especially the first Halloween is very shadowy. Like, it's not that there aren't some daylight scenes, there really are, but a lot of the shape sequences are very, very shadowed. And in this one, you have some sequences where he's just like walking through brightly lit kitchens, and
Yeah.
It was fascinating to watch. Like I was just kind of mesmerized whenever they showed the shape, like walking through these brightly lit things. I'm like, they have some balls to put that mask in that brightly lit an area. But I think they knew they had a good product.
Yeah, and the walk was good. He had the walk down.
Oh yeah, he did a great job with the walk.
He definitely had the walk down. He got, it's like you did not, like, if you weren't, if you didn't know like the facts which Nick Castle played and which he didn't, you would assume he was the same. It was the same one person playing the whole thing. So
let's talk about the music, because I was really interested in the score, knowing that John Carpenter did the score for this one. And I thought it was great. I need to see it again, because I wasn't focused on the music as much watching it the first time. I was focused on the movie. But I thought he did a great job. I mean, obviously he did a great job. He's John freaking Carpenter.
Yeah.
But they did spruce it up with some
the synth. There was like, right?
Stuff.
Yeah.
And I love John Carpenter's synth stuff. I've said it again and again on this podcast. Go get his Lost Themes albums. They're incredible.
Yeah, I gotta pick that up.
They are just completely incredible, and I heard a lot of that in this soundtrack. He added those in. I loved it. I loved it. I've got the original Halloween soundtrack on CD. This one may be
same
one
here.
I have to pick up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy, and they actually have it on vinyl. I saw they actually released a vinyl version of this.
I really want a record player for Christmas, really, really bad, just for horror soundtracks.
Yeah, right. I actually have some. I have some old horror soundtracks on record. I gotta dig up.
Yeah,
one day
just to give me an excuse to be able to buy them. I don't have an excuse right now because I have no photograph.
You know what? Check like Costco around. They always have those like 6-in-1 players.
Yeah, that's all I want. I don't want anything fancy. I just want a little cheap because I'm not an audiophile. I don't care that it's not.
No.
And I don't need.
You need
$1,000.
one of those things. Yeah, and they have the ones that have the USB thing, so you can actually transfer the record right into your computer if you wanted to. Afterwards. So.
Like I just want one that I don't have to worry about. Buying an amplifier and this and that. I just want everything all contained where I can just sit it on in the room and play it. So
right.
Let's talk about the pacing, because I did have a little bit of problem with the pacing. I thought the first half hour or so dragged a little bit for me.
Then you would have been pleased, because there was actually longer in the screener version. They actually had a whole scene which was about a good 3 to 4 minutes that they cut out.
Wow.
And it really had nothing, it added nothing to, as far as I know. I don't remember the exact dialogue in it, but I remember not seeing it, but I don't, only because it was like it was an almost nudity scene, but with the podcasters. But other than that, I don't remember. I don't think they had anything noteworthy. So it was I'm sure it was an easy cut, and I think a lot of people were. Any gripes might have been that the pacing. It took a little. It took a little long to get to like the good stuff. But the second time I saw it, when they had honed. I guess the process a little bit, and it was really it was trimmed, and I thought the pacing was like 30 times better, and it was
good, yeah.
And it was much more. You got right into. It felt like you got right into the story more. So, and I and that also might be I bet you if you see it a second time, you'll get a better feel for that too.
Yeah, it might, and obviously it was my first time seeing it, so I'm like, okay, get to Michael. Like, I want to see some killing.
Right.
Like, so you're kind of anticipating that. So you're probably like, God, when is he ever going to kill somebody kind of thing. So, definitely a second viewing should probably make my mind up whether that's actually a real problem or if that's imagined. But just from my initial impressions, the first little bit seemed a little slow, and the last little bit was over too quickly, but that's because I loved it so much. That's not a problem with the movie itself. That's just a problem with me wanting to see more.
Yeah, even when it's a decent runtime for a horror film length. I mean, it's like, what is an hour 45? I think it's something like that.
Yeah,
and and I like could have had it go another hour. I was, you can't. To me, there's not enough. It's always I want more, but.
Yeah, I think at some point we may have to just do a spoiler episode. Maybe we'll do it like a mini-sode bonus or something. Because there are some specific things I'd love to talk about, and some of the kills and that kind of thing. But suffice it to say, I was not disappointed. I really enjoyed it. I'm told Brian I'm probably going to go back this weekend to see it. So see it for a second time. So yeah, if you guys have not seen it yet, definitely go out and see it. Support this movie so we can get more sequels.
And it did well. I mean, it
did very
91
well.
million worldwide, I think, opening night, right? Or opening weekend.
Yeah, it had some good stats, but it had some decent records up there.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lee kind of boasted on her Twitter account some of the stats, which is awesome. So definitely go out and support it because we want more of these films. I want a new Halloween franchise.
Yes. And I don't even care if it if they I hope they just, I'm okay with them moving to like even a different, different characters if they have to, or whatever they want to do with it. I just want, I think this group right now knows what the fans want, and they know how to make a good slasher and a good Halloween movie.
Yes.
So that's the key. As long as Blumhouse is behind it, I think it's in really, really good hands.
Yeah, and I know this is not a reboot, but if you compare it to other times franchises have been basically resurrected, I think this is hands down one of the best I've seen. It's better than the Friday the 13th reboot. It's way better than the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot.
Yeah.
It's way better than Rings and Saw and all the stuff where they've tried to bring these franchises back. It blows them all away. So if we can continue getting more of these, I guarantee you they're going to be better than most of the garbage we've had to put up with this franchise for the last 30 years.
Oh, yeah. No, this is the bar now that is set. The bar has been set now for reinvigorating. Because, like you said, it's not true reboot. This is the way to they want a perfect example on how to reinvigorate a franchise. This is what you watch.
Yep, absolutely. So, I cannot wait to hear your beer pairing for this one, Brian.
Yeah, this is kind of a no-brainer when I saw this one. It's Halloween Ale. It's by Gritty McDuff's. Yeah, it's by Gritty McDuff's Brewery out of Maine.
Not to be confused with Duff Beer.
No, not Duff Beer. Yeah, Gritty McDuff. I've actually been into this place. It's sorry, I almost said Freeport, Maine. It's actually Portland, Maine. Julie and I stayed there for a weekend a couple of years back. We passed by here. It was right down the street from our hotel, so we went in there amongst our many, many amazing breweries in Maine. This is kind of, this kind of has its own couple of things. It also sells other beers, but at the bar, but it has it has their own couple one. And so here's the description. It says, every fall marks the return of our legendary extra special bitter for the season, Halloween Ale. The beer's so good, it's scary. Yeah, right? From its humble beginnings in 1990 as a small batch seasonal in our Portland brew pub, Halloween Ale has grown to be one of the year's most anticipated beer releases. This robust brew has a deep amber color, a bold malty palate, and a well-rounded hop finish. The perfect beer for a crisp autumn day. And it's 6%, and the hops are White Bread Goldings, East Kent Goldings, and BC Kent. So it's 3 hops I am not familiar with in any way, shape, or form.
I have never heard of any of those. So
yeah, but I actually was kind of a little bummed now that I can't be able to get a handle on this one. I may have to I may have to get a trip 1 year down around the fall to make sure I get this. Maybe next year I'll plan a trip down to Maine.
All right, so our 6 degrees of decapitation. Last week we asked you to connect Dana Christina to Christina Aguilera. Dana Christina was in Extremity with Jay LaRose. Jay LaRose was in Abattoir with Patrick Kearns.
Not Avatar, but Abattoir.
Yeah, not Avatar, Abattoir. And Patrick Kearns was in Pitch Perfect 2 with Christina Aguilera. So
there you go. Now, who would have thought we'd be mentioning Pitch Perfect 2 on Civil
That's
War?
right. You never know what you're going to get. That's the appeal.
You really do. You really don't. I mean,
so this week we're going to ask you to connect Jamie Lee Curtis to Jamie Lee.
Yes. Do you know who she is? She's a comedy actress. She does stand-up comedy, but also does she's an actor too. She was on Crashing, that HBO show.
She
does a lot of comedy writing too. But yeah, she's really cool. She's really good.
Okay.
So
yeah.
obviously you can see the connection to why I picked her.
So yeah, like we said up front, next week we're going to do the Horror Movie Challenge review show, recap show. Definitely tune into that one. I know we're not doing a feature film, but I think you're going to enjoy it because we're going to go through 60 feature films. I mean, whatever me and Brian watch, we're going to talk about some of our favorites, some of the highlights, and what we saw. So if you want some good horror recommendations, definitely tune into that episode.
Yeah, because I'm actually really looking forward to that one. That'll be fun. And it'll also kind of cleanse our palate before we do our November carnivore themed month there.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some cannibalism and all kinds of nastiness for November, so you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. As usual, we haven't done this in a while, so I'll tell you to hit us up on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter at Civil Gore Pod, Instagram. We have a very active Instagram account. We're always posting stuff out there. So if you guys have moved on from Twitter, you millennials, you can catch up to us on Instagram. Of course, you've already moved on to something else probably that we don't know about. So
yeah, like some name that we'll find out in 6 months.
Yeah. So, so it should be a good November. I'm actually looking forward to that cannibal theme.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to throw in a Thanksgiving 3. A Thanksgiving 3
oh god
commentary track.
Jeez.
Right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Actually, Forbidden Planet had the box set, the Thanksgiving box set, and on it, because remember that whole joke of they never did a Thanksgiving 2?
Yeah.
And so in it says sorry, but Thanksgiving 2 will not be in this box set. All the copies had to be destroyed.
That's pretty.
So
funny.
they keep that humor right down and the theming to that right down to the release of the movies.
Oh,
So
that's
kind
awesome.
of cool.
All right, guys, we'll see you back here next week. Go see Halloween.
Yes, Micah.
Micah.